Good evening, bookworms. I'm Alexa, the resident Ookie Spooky Girly, and I've been devouring books by the mountain for as long as I can remember. My childhood bedroom is still drowning in them, and now my bookshelf in my apartment is, as well, along with the pile of books on my floor that still need to be read. And heck, I just picked up a new book the other day. It was Dark Circus themed, so I just had to. Question for y'all, what are your favorite books? I know I was obsessed with the Gone series back in high school, and I can still never say no to a good Nancy Drew book, but here are the top 5 prohibited books hiding ancient secrets. In number 5, we have Shams al-Ma'arif. Shams al-Ma'arif, or Shams al-Ma'arif, wa la ta'if'a awal-rif, is a 13th century grimoire centered on Arabic magic and claimed to be a manual for achieving esoteric spirituality. I apologize from the bottom of my heart if I butchered that pronunciation in any way. I promise I did practice. It was written by the scholar Ahmed al-Buni, who wrote it while living in Algeria, and he passed around 1225 Common Era. The book is a patchwork of bits and pieces of al-Buni's authentic works and texts by other authors. Scholars like Ibn Taymiyyah have criticized the book and labeled al-Buni as a deluded devil worshipper. Good to know that across all religions over time, some things never change. In terms of more modern examples, that was a common assumption from Ed and Lorraine Warren, probably the most famed demonologists of all time. Personally, I believe half of what they investigated was real, and the other half was just them making a living, which at the end of the day, I have to give some respect to. Well, minus viewing alternate lifestyles outside of Christianity as a sin. Pardon me, I got a little sidetracked there. In contemporary form, the book consists of 2 volumes, the Shams al-Ma'arif al-Kubra and the Shams al-Ma'arif al-Sugra, with the former being the larger of the two. The first few chapters introduce the reader to magic squares, and the combination of numbers and the alphabet that are believed to bring magical effect, which the author claims is the only way to communicate with jinn, angels, and spirits. The table of contents that were introduced in the later printed editions of the work contained a list of unnumbered chapters, which stretched to a number of 40. However, prior to the printing press and various other standardizations, there were 3 independent volumes that circulated, each one differing in length. While being popular, it also carries a notorious reputation for being suppressed and banned for much of Islamic history, ergo how it found its way to our list today. However, it continues to persist in being read and studied up to the present day, despite its questionable veracity and negative implications. Some Sufi orders, such as the Naqshbandi Haqqani order, have recognized its legitimacy and use as a compendium for the occult and hold it in high regard. Another title by the same author, the title having been translated to the Source of Essentials of Wisdom, is considered its companion text. In terms of translations, although a formal translation into English has not happened yet, there have been numerous renditions of a few of the more popular rituals found within the main treatise, as well as those that lie in its accompanying text. In number 4, we have the Grand Grimoire. It's a black magic grimoire, and for reference, a grimoire is a textbook of magic that typically, includes instructions on how to create magical objects like talismans and amulets, how to perform magical spells, charms, and divination, and how to summon or invoke supernatural entities such as angels, spirits, deities, and demons. In many cases, the books themselves are believed to be imbued with magical powers, although in many cultures, other sacred texts that are not grimoires, such as the Bible, have been believed to have supernatural properties intrinsically. The only contents found in a grimoire would be information on spells, rituals, the preparation of magical tools, and lists of ingredients and their magical correspondences. In this manner, while all books on magic could be thought of as grimoires, not all magical books should be thought of as grimoires. Different editions date the specific one back to 1521, 1522, or 1421, but it was probably written during the early 19th century. Some experts suggest that 1702 is when the first edition may have been created, and a Bibliothèque Bleue version, similar to a chapter book, of the text may have been published in 1750. The introductory chapter was authored by Antonia Venetiana del Rabina, who gathered his information from the original writings of King Solomon. Much of the material of this grimoire derives from the Key of Solomon and Lesser Key of Solomon, which are grimoires attributed to King Solomon. How'd you know? Also known as Le Dragon Rouge, or the Red Dragon, this book contains instructions on how to summon Lucifer, or Lucifège Rofocal, for the purpose of forming a deal with the devil. The 19th century French occultist Eliphas Lévy, author of Dogmes et Rituels de la Haute Magie, claimed the contemporary edition of Le Dragon Rouge was a counterfeit of a true older Grand Grimoire. And I love petty historical spats. The overall work is divided into 2 books. The first book contains instructions for summoning a demon and the construction of tools with which to force the demon to do one's bidding. The second book is divided into, 2 further parts, the Sanctum Regnum and Secrets, de l'Art Magique du Grand Grimoire. The Sanctum Regnum contains instructions for making a pact with the demon, allowing one to command the spirit without the tools required by book 1, but at greater risk. Secrets contain simple spells and rituals one can employ after having performed the ritual of the first book. Some editions contain a short text between these two parts, known as Le Secret Magique ou Le Grand Art de pouvoir parler aux morts, or in English, the magic secret or the grand art of being able to, speak with the dead, which deals with necromancy. The book describes several demons as well as the rituals to summon them in order to make a pact with them. It also details several spells for winning a lottery, talking to spirits, being loved by a girl, making oneself invisible, and more. This book mentions 3 greater demons, which are similarly prioritized in the Grimorium Verum. Sidebar: in the English translation of the work, the demons are referenced by the more generic term of spirits, which is a term I know some modern Satanists prefer. The demons that are mentioned are the Emperor Lucifer, Prince Beelzebub, and the Grand Duke Astaroth. Now, this work also makes mention of 6 lesser demons, and of course I'll mention them all. Lucifer Joyfocal, Prime Minister, Satan Nachia, Commander-in-Chief, Agliarept, Commandant, Fleruti, Lieutenant General, Sargatanas, Brigadier Major, Nebiros, Marshal and Inspector General. In number 3, we have The Orphan Story. Written in the early 1600s by Martin de Leon Cardenas, The Orphan Story is a novel about a 14-year-old Spaniard who heads to the Americas in search of, fortune. While it may sound like a normal adventure story and an outlier amongst the magic books today, a major darkness lurks within its pages that led to the novel not being published until 2018. The first draft was a 328-page manuscript, slightly yellowed, slightly worn and aged, and missing a couple of pages. It is handwritten in a decorative style reflective of the Golden or Imperial Age. The New Age print takes on a more modern bound look, featuring artwork from the original manuscript on the front, yet a rather plain book from that, the past. Belinda Palacios, a Peruvian scholar who edited the book for 2 years, says that she was warned by multiple people about the orphan story. It was first set to appear in 1621 under the pen name of Andres de Leon, but never made it to the press due to the presidential atmosphere at the time in Sicily. The manuscript then sat in the Hispanic Society of America until 1965 when Belinda rediscovered it. She learned that many attempts to publish the orphan story had happened, giving rise to rumors that malevolent energy lurked among the almost 400 pages, causing the people working on it to die. In an interview, she commented on the reported deaths, saying one was from a strange disease, another in a car accident, and yet another something else. Belinda had also heard from other professors she was working with to publish the book, one specialized in colonial letters from the Andean regions in Mexico, who was named Raquel Chang Rodriguez. So those letters described how Antonio Rodriguez Monino and William C. Bryant both died before finishing their editions of the book, and is why the manuscript is believed to be cursed or bewitched. They told her that the book was cursed, and the reason it had taken so long to publish was that anyone who worked on it would die in mysterious ways. Did the powers that be not want the ancient script out in the world? Note to self, don't go within 10 feet of the book. Not worth it. In second place, we have the book of Abramelin the Mage. Most folks, today would be happy with a gift card or dinner for their birthday, but Abramelin the Mage decided to give his son a book full of mythical curses. It's definitely a unique gift. So this book tells the story of an Egyptian mage named Abraham, or Abramelin, who taught a system of magic to Abraham of Worms, a Jew in Worms, Germany. The system of magic from this book regained popularity in the 19th and 20th centuries, partly due to Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mather's translation, which dubbed it the Book of Sacred Magic of Abramelin the Mage. Ever since it was translated to English, this 15th century novel has had a reputation for being cursed. Now, there are several theories why, but most believe it has to do with the mage's belief that everybody has their own unique personal demon. Throughout the book, there are instructions for rituals and supernatural feats to bring your demons under control. Anyone with any sense knows that it's risky to reach out and communicate with the spirit world, so it's not surprising that readers of this book have reported bad luck and hauntings by spirits from another realm. The grimoire is framed as a sort of epistolary novel or autobiography in which Abraham of Worms describes his journey from Germany to Egypt and reveals Abramelin's magical and Kabbalistic secrets to his son Lamech. Internally, the text dates itself to the year 1458. The story involves Abraham passing his magical and Kabbalistic secrets onto his son and tells, how he acquired his knowledge. Abraham recounts how he found Abramelin the Mage living in the desert outside of an Egyptian town, Iraqi, which borders the Nile. Abraham's home sat atop a small hill surrounded by trees. He was an Egyptian mage and taught a powerful form of Kabbalistic magic to Abraham. He was a, venerably aged man, very courteous and kind, discussing only the fear of God, the importance of leading a well-regulated life, and the evils of the acquisition of riches and goods. The usual fare. Abramelin extracted a promise from Abraham that he would give up his false dogmas and live in the way and law of the Lord. He then gave Abraham 2 manuscript books to copy for himself, asking for 10 gold florins, which he took with the intention of distributing to 72 poor persons in Iraqi. Upon his return 15 days later, after having disposed of the payment money, Abramelin extracted an oath from Abraham to serve and fear the Lord, and to live and die in his most holy law. After this, Abraham was given the divine science and true magic embedded with the 2 manuscripts, which he was to follow and give to only those whom he knew well. The book exists in the form of 12 manuscripts and an early printed edition. The early manuscripts are two versions that date from around 1608, are written in German, while another two manuscripts date from about 1700 and 1750 respectively. The practical magic found in both Book 3 of the French text and Book 4 of the German original centers around a set of talismans composed of magical word squares. These are similar to traditional magic squares, though the latter are usually composed of numbers, while Abramelin squares contain letters. Commonly, word squares are used as puzzles or as teaching aids for students. In this context, though, the focus becomes mystical, so that each square should contain words or names that relate to the magical goal of the square. A parallel is found in the famous Satyr Arepo Tenet opera Rotos Word Square, an altered version of which is also found among Abramel's squares. Cursed book and math puzzles? Yeah, no thanks. In first place, we have Untitled Grimoires. I feel like that should be scary enough on its own, but time to elaborate. These manuscripts were believed to be written in the early 1900s, as their first library appearance was around the 1920s. The books originated when a Wiccan high priestess called Persephone Adrastea Irene recorded her family's spiritual history of being an American witch of Swedish and English ancestry. These manuscripts record Persephone's witchy history that she reworked all through her adult life, incorporating her mother's grimoire into them as well. Their first book contains around 250 pages of spells, incantations, curses, and enchantments, as well as corresponding information on gems, planets, rites, potions, and even exorcisms. The second book includes around 150 to 200 pages of alchemy and chemistry recipes, cures, perfumes and balms, nerve tonics, and even hairspray recipes. The first book is believed to carry the curse heavier than its counterpart, as Persephone's spells are believed in Wiccan culture to contain more power than most other records due to the embodiment of herself within them. Originally, the books belonged to Alice Montserrat, the wife of Israel Regardie, who moved to the UK in the 1920s to work with famous occult writer Aleister Crowley. Later on, they both went on to work with the Golden Dawn Order and printed their works and publications as occultism raised into the modern world. Although Montserrat did little reporting on the cursed lore over these books, she did make notes as to why she and others within the order believed the curse carried some serious weight. She made a note to an inscription warning all those who read it, saying, "To those not of the craft, the reading of this book is forbidden. Proceed no further, or justice will exact a swift and terrible retribution, and you will surely suffer at the hand of the craft." This was written in not only English, but other languages as well, to ensure the reader be heavily warned to keep away. To this day, copies of the Untitled Grimoires can be bought from M. Benjamin Catt's fine books. They still come with a high warning for all non-believers within Wiccan or pagan beliefs to shy away from them because of the cursed lore within and surrounding their pages. As tempting as it might be to acquire a copy, since that is a place I could technically travel to, I don't want to risk fate. My life's crazy enough. And that brings us to the end of our list, and I don't think I'm adding any of these to my personal collection anytime soon. I'll stick to my pile of non-prohibited books. If y'all enjoyed my chaos today, could y'all help this out by giving this video a like, subscribe if you aren't already, and hit the bell for more from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.